Trump to meet with Putin in Saudi Arabia as Zelensky says he hopes he'll broker a peace deal. President Donald Trump said he will meet Vladimir Putin to negotiate peace in Ukraine, and their first sit-down will likely be in Saudi Arabia. He made the announcement in the Oval Office after holding a 90-minute phone call with the Russian leader. Trump said, "We expect that he'll come here and I'll go there, and we're going to meet also probably in Saudi Arabia. The first time we'll meet in Saudi Arabia, see if we get something done. We know the Crown Prince, I think it would be a very good place to meet." The president indicated the meeting in Saudi Arabia would just be himself and Putin, and would not include Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. Trump also would not commit to going to Ukraine, saying he would think about it. He said, "Probably we'll have a first meeting and then we'll see what we can do about a second meeting." Trump also blamed his predecessor, President Joe Biden, for not ending the war sooner. "I'm not going to tell you my plan. This should have been done by Biden, not by me. This has been going on for a long time," he said. Trump made his comments as Tulsi Gabbard was being sworn in as his Director of National Intelligence. He and Putin have met before during Trump's first term in Helsinki, Finland in July 2018. Meanwhile, Zelensky said he believed Trump could pressure Putin into a peace plan. "We believe that America's strength is sufficient to pressure Russia and Putin into peace," he said in a video message posted after his own phone conversation with Trump. "We are doing our best to bring peace closer," he added. "I thank all those who are helping." Earlier in the day, Trump announced he had personally spoken with Putin about a peace plan. He then called Zelensky to update the Ukrainian leader. "I think we're on the way to any peace," Trump said of those conversations. "I think President Putin wants peace and President Zelensky wants peace. I want peace. I just want to see people stop getting killed." In their phone call on Wednesday, Trump and Putin also laid the groundwork for historic summits between them in the US and Moscow. And in a lengthy post to his Truth Social account, Trump declared that the war must end. He also said the two leaders agreed to visit each other's countries soon. Trump would be the first U.S. president to visit Russia since Barack Obama in 2013. Announcing the negotiations, Trump wrote, "We want to stop the millions of deaths taking place in the war with Russia/Ukraine. President Putin even used my very strong campaign motto of common sense. We both believe very strongly in it. We agreed to work together very closely, including visiting each other's nations." He added, "We have also agreed to have our respective teams start negotiations immediately, and we will begin by calling President Zelensky of Ukraine to inform him of the conversation, something which I will be doing right now." Trump then phoned Zelensky and afterwards declared that the Ukrainian leader also wants an end to the war. The U.S. president wrote, "The conversation went very well. He, like President Putin, wants to make peace." Trump said Zelensky would meet on Friday in Munich with Vice President J.D. Vance and Secretary of State Marco Rubio. He wrote, "I am hopeful that the results of that meeting will be positive. It is time to stop this ridiculous war, where there has been massive and totally unnecessary death and destruction. God bless the people of Russia and Ukraine." Trump's pronouncement will send shockwaves around the world. Earlier Wednesday, his administration said it was ending all American aid to Ukraine, a blow to Zelensky, who is struggling to hold his nation together. Trump's move also put pressure on European allies who have been a bastion of support for Kyiv. In his post, Trump went on to say why the war must be brought to a close. He wrote, "Millions of people have died in a war that would not have happened if I were president, but it did happen, so it must end. No more lives should be lost." Trump and Putin spoke for nearly an hour and a half and agreed to meet, the Kremlin said in its readout of the call. It was Putin's first known direct contact with the U.S. president since the invasion of Ukraine in February 2022. President Putin agreed with Trump that a long-term settlement could be reached through peaceful negotiations, the Kremlin said. The call followed a prisoner swap that resulted in Russia releasing American schoolteacher Mark Fogel of Pennsylvania after more than 3 years of detention. Trump welcomed Fogel at the White House Tuesday evening after his return to U.S. soil. In his Truth Social post, Trump said, "I want to thank President Putin for his time and effort with respect to this call, and for the release yesterday of Mark Fogel, a wonderful man that I personally greeted last night at the White House. I believe this effort will lead to a successful conclusion, hopefully soon." Alexander Vinnik, a convicted Russian criminal, also is being freed as part of a swap. Vinnik was arrested in 2017 in Greece at the request of the U.S. on cryptocurrency fraud charges and was later extradited to the United States, where he pleaded guilty last year to conspiracy to commit money laundering. He is currently in custody in California awaiting transport to return to Russia. Additionally, a U.S. citizen, whose name has not been disclosed, has been freed from Belarus. The decision is a devastating blow to Kyiv and will pile pressure on Europe to fill the void. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said that Washington will no longer tolerate an imbalanced relationship with its allies, adding that Europe must provide the overwhelming share of future lethal and non-lethal aid to Ukraine. He stressed that the United States was no longer primarily focused on Europe, and said that the old continent would have to fund most of Ukraine's defense itself, as experts warned the demands on Europe were unachievable at this time. In a boon for Putin, Hegseth added that the United States would not deploy troops to Ukraine to uphold any peace deal with Russia, one of the key security guarantees requested by Zelensky. Hegseth also said that it was implausible for Ukraine to expect to return to a pre-war state, assessing that any peace process must start by recognizing that returning to Ukraine's pre-2014 borders is an unrealistic objective. The United States remains committed to the NATO alliance and to the defense partnership with Europe, full stop, he said. But the United States will no longer tolerate an imbalanced relationship, which encourages dependency. Washington's allies have been waiting nervously for clarity from Trump's administration after he demanded that NATO more than double its defense spending target and vowed to end the war in Ukraine. Hegseth's comments will compound Ukrainian fears and hand leverage to Russia, after Trump suggested the country may be Russian someday, in unsettling comments during an interview with Fox News, aired Monday. Russia says it has annexed 5 regions of Ukraine: Crimea in 2014 and then Donetsk, Kherson, Lugansk and Zaporizhia in 2022, though it does not have full control over them. Putin said last year that a deal would hinge upon Ukraine's recognition of Russia's claim to 4 regions in its east and south, including areas not currently controlled by Russia. Zelensky has rejected any territorial concessions to Moscow, though he has acknowledged that Ukraine might have to rely on diplomatic means to secure the return of some territory.